We all know, you're Hialeah born and raised, but your roots are a little bit farther south from that. So, tell us where you're from, a little bit of your your family's background.
Born and raised in Miami, and a little suburb in Miami, Hialeah. And I joke about Hialeah all the time. For those of you guys not in Miami, Hialeah is special in the Miami area. It's the place that you come to, especially if you don't know English.
It's like the what's that called where the Statue of Liberty is at? Ellis Island. It's the Miami Ellis Island.
So my parents came from Colombia, and they started the hustle here, not knowing the language, and stopped in Hialeah, and I was born in a dark, stormy night, April 4th, in Hialeah Hospital. And born and raised in Miami. Lived here pretty much my whole life, except when the market crashed. I did 2 years in LA. Got a little West Coast life living, which is a big part of the story.
Miami or LA. You can't go wrong with that.
But I had to come back. I appreciated the West Coast vibe. It gave me a different flavor, but it made me appreciate home and come back home and do business home.
So, like you said, your mom and your dad both came to Miami. They didn't know English at all. They knew a little bit of English.
My dad had been here before. He literally married my mom in Colombia after being there for 9 months or whatnot, his second go around. And their honeymoon night, literally they got married in the afternoon, and at nighttime they touched down in Miami and never went back.
So you got married in Colombia?
He got married in Colombia. But my dad had lived in Los Angeles prior, and he had been there for 6, 7, 8 years. So he had a little bit of English. But when he first got here to LA alone, he didn't know any other language. And then when my mom came, she definitely didn't speak it.
And then you got, how many siblings you have?
I got 2 brothers. Okay. So my older brother stayed in Los Angeles, and he's out there doing the grind, selling his investment property, actually, since this is the topic of conversation. He got hit up with, so there's a whole side note, but he got hit up with, but California has the craziest landlord-tenant laws. Mm-hmm. And
they're like negative.
Right? Like being a landlord out there sucks compared to other places. So he bought a property. Luckily, he invested really good. He bought it when the market was on the downside. It was a 3-unit, but it was originally his own commercial. Long story short, he had the same tenant in there, never really raised the rent much for I think 7 years or 8 years. And to try to have a conversation with him, said, listen, why don't you try to look for another place, because I want to remodel and try to raise the rent. And homie went straight to report him that his landlord was trying to violate.
So they have rent caps.
They have rent caps, and they have like a whole department that they can go and cry to.
That says the landlord's evil.
Yeah, so you got to really know your laws in California if you're going to be buying and holding a landlord, because the law is definitely written to protect the tenant, which I understand and it's cool and all that. But my brother ended up having to pay a $25,000 fine to the tenant. So the problem is, because tenants know this, they also hustle a lot to try to get landlords into these situations, because they know that the law kind of tends to protects them, and you can get a nice little sweet payout. There's a guy who was paying $600.
So this is a tenant paying for your brother's.
He was paying started paying $600 7 years ago or something. I think ended up in 7 years later paying like $800 for like a little studio in one of the 3 units. And
this is LA.
This is in LA.
That's below market rent in LA.
Yeah. It was like a small studio. Then the other ones he was getting more. It was a nice little cash flow property. And imagine you're paying $800, and at the end of the day you walk out with like $25,000. So my brother now has it for sale. he had to. On top of that, then the permit police came, and it turned out that those 2 units were commercial zone. They're not supposed to be residential. So now he had to move the other tenant out to like another 20 grand to relocate that one, and then knock the properties down to bring it back up to code. And now he's selling it the way it's supposed to be permitted, which is basically like a single family with a, I don't know, side that you could use it for an office or something, but like
just commercial
personal use.
Yeah.
So he's gonna sell it. Luckily, he bought it so good that he can still make.
He bought it.
He could make a profit, and even though this hit right now, plus he made money for I don't know how many years being a landlord. Yeah. So because he bought correctly, even in this crazy year that he's had of getting slapped up.
He's not going to go at a loss, but I mean, that's sure a headache. That's a headache.
It's a headache, but he'll still make money.
Still make money.
He'll end up making a nice little 6-digit return once he sells it. Because in California, you know,
it's crazy right now.
Yeah, if you bought it in the low part and now he's selling it, he'll make a nice little chunk of change. But
so he lives in LA, and then
he lives in LA.
Your other brother lives here. He actually works right over there.
My brother lives, right. My brother. Luckily, I've been blessed that the family business, which is an accounting firm, that my dad started when he was 44 years old after working his way up in this country, started as a bookkeeper, learned the game, learned the language, went to school, put himself through school, got himself licensed to be an enrolled agent with the IRS to be able to do accounting, and started taking on clients here and there. My mom actually in my family turned out to be the real hustler because my dad kind of was the expert, and my dad's got a real gift at being able to, number one, invoke trust and really explain to people and break things down. So I think I learned a lot from seeing him and how his clients trust him, or his client. He's like basically retired now. My brother's taking over, but
you saw him build rapport with clients throughout your life, and
the whole time.
Of course, that helps you with what you're doing now.
They straight up trust him 100%. And then my mom was the one who was door knocking, business to business, passing out the brochure flyers.
She was the one bringing in the actual business.
Yeah, she was the sales.
She brought him in, and then
the right hand person. She did the administrative side. But my mom, I remember her taking us, me and my little brother, door to door, shopping center to shopping center, laundry mat, this, that. Who does your accounting? Oh, we'd be happy to help. This, boom, boom, boom. And to this day, 100+ corporate clients that my brother now runs and does their bookkeeping, payroll, and corporate income taxes. And then during tax season, obviously, through the relationships of having that many corporate clients, they do, 300+ personal income taxes. And my dad started that at 44 years old. And now my brother's taking it over. My dad's pretty much semi-retired.
How'd you escape the
accounting thing?
Yeah.
The fact that my family pretty much is a family of accountants, because 2 of my cousins work through the family business too, so they're accountants as well. And
the same business.
Yeah, the same exact.
And your brother in LA is not an accountant.
No. Okay. My brother definitely. My older brother wants nothing to do with that. I always saw my dad hustling, and during tax season working till 11 or 12 o'clock at night.
I bet that was like crazy.
And I was like, man, I'm never gonna slave like that. But what I didn't realize is, funny enough, now I definitely. I mean, what time is it right now?
Like
We're
10:45,
here at 10:45 at night doing our thing. But I realize now, in the position that when you're hustling and building your legacy for your family, for yourself, it doesn't even feel like work. You're on a mission. You're on a plan. But being young and just not realizing what that is, I said, whatever I want to do, I don't want to be stuck working so many hours like he was grinding. And look at me now, where I definitely grind a lot of hours.
So you're watching that. I mean, you're probably helping them out. So, like you said, you're with your mom, being dragged to all these places, to get
seeing
appointments.
The hustle. And from there, my dad used the money he was making in the accounting firm, and in the first house we ever bought, he turned the garage into an efficiency.
Yeah, tell us about that. So the first house he ever bought in Miami, right? And like you guys were how old?
I was 2 years old. He bought it with it's one of those loans that had the deferred payment, so the principal got added to what you didn't pay got added to the balance, and so your mortgage balance went up and up and up. But at the time, that was the only way he was able to get
reverse ammo.
Yeah, it's
not
like
reverse,
a deferred
not reverse
payment.
mortgage.
Is the only way he could get into the house.
Got it. So he bought this house, and this house kind of morphed into something.
This house ended up having 2 studios where it brought in rental income. Slowly but surely, you know, first we built the garage and made it. Then behind the garage, we made an addition and built another efficiency.
And was your dad actually hands-on building it? Or
he was working, and we were
just doing little stuff here and there.
We were living in the house when the contractors were there. So I tell people my real estate career, and the point of the whole story was it got started when I was a shorty, living in the house, seeing my dad start the business, then take the funds of the business and invest it into turning that garage into the first rental property. Then the next studio he built right behind the garage. Now we got 2 rental properties rented that we're bringing in rental income to now start paying off the house. Because, you know, when you first bought the house, you had the payments adding to the balance. Yep. So now we got to try to pay it off, right? So my dad started, you know, doing the numbers and putting the accounting brain to work and said, you know what? The garage, I'm not a mechanic. I don't need it. And then eventually built the home office because luckily the house had a huge lot in the back of the house. So when you came in through the left side of the house, it was 3 doors. 2 studios and the office.
So it started as a single family house.
A single family house.
3 bedroom, 1 bath.
2 bedrooms.
2 bedroom, 1 bath.
2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a garage.
And then he added, the one garage became a studio.
Yeah.
He added another studio.
Yeah.
And then added an office.
Yeah. And that was the birth of the family company that gave us a good middle class life and set the foundation for me and my brother to, you know, carry on that legacy. So we're first generation here, born and raised in the United States, and we're taking that hustle and that sacrifice that they made and trying to make something out of it. And I went the real estate route, which was still number specific, where I got into the mortgage business.
Yeah, I mean, you're in the mortgages, so you're looking at, I mean, you're not a CPA, but you were just showing me a Class E.
I'm breaking down tax returns, now, you know, so. From the traditional side of mortgages. So we have the traditional side of mortgages now and the private lending side of it, which is more for the investing side. And especially on the traditional side, I'm breaking down tax returns and my team's breaking down tax returns. All day long. So it's life's irony. Yeah. Bringing it back full story where I saw my dad creating these tax returns and breaking down these numbers and me saying, oh, I don't ever want to do that. And now I don't ever see me doing anything else. Because if I'm not breaking down numbers for the mortgage side, I'm breaking down numbers for the investment side, wondering if it's a good deal, does it cash flow, mitigating risk, what are the interests, return on investment. And that's what I do all day.
And I mean, you not even realizing it, but those things you saw your dad doing, those numbers and that whole lineage of knowing how to work the numbers is being used today by you every day.
100%, because my old man did raise us. Number one, there was no allowances. There was, oh, you need $20 because you want to go to the movies and watch 3 movies all summer long because that's what we did during the summer. Okay, what are you going to do? You're gonna
you would go watch 3 movies at once, right? You go there.
Oh yeah,
sit there and watch.
You go there and see from 12 o'clock to like 9 o'clock at night, all summer long. That was my summer school. And but my dad was not handing me over $20 or much less giving me a weekly allowance. He was, okay, you're cutting the grass, you're washing the car, these rocks need to go over there for the landscaping and this and that. And
definitely, he's building a work ethic. Nothing's given to you. You want this, you got to work for it. You know,
exactly, 100%. And he would tell me, if you want to buy that, how much is that? Well, if I'm gonna pay you for these 3 things, how many? You know, so the whole time, from a little kid till now, my dad always made me look at things from a business standpoint and from a earn my keep standpoint.
Got it. So you're watching this coming up. Obviously, that's a great example to watch. You're watching him.
Yeah. I watched the renovation of the house. The office got built and managing contractors. My mom was the project manager, cracking the whip. Yeah. So early, it's funny. Again, I was like, oh man, this is a mess. The house is a mess. There's strange people in our house all the time. I never want to do this. Everything I always said I never wanted to do. You grow up and now
strange people in the house.
Yeah, man. Renovations,
you got houses going through renovations,
the whole thing. So
yeah, I didn't grow up with a house, but I've told my story how my kids definitely have grown up. Every house they've lived in has been a renovation project. Every single one. So and it's good. I'm sure when they get older, they'll be doing the same thing. Right now, they say they don't want to. My one daughter, all she does right now is interior decorate houses on this game. So I know for a fact that she's got the bug, from watching this. So that's good.
Listen, when I was now in my early 20s and I got into the mortgage business and I went and bought my first condo and then I bought my second and third condo and then I ended up buying my first single family home, the whole time I was looking at it from a cash flow perspective and always going back to, when I lived in my house as a kid, this was renting. It automatically was in my head the minute I started saying, let's start.
You had they talk about muscle memory. You had muscle memory from what you were watching growing up.
It was normal for us. It was normal for us to have tenants. It was normal for us to, look at things that way. And now that I'm talking about it, I didn't even realize it. I've never looked at it any other way.
Yeah. Which is the key though. I mean, because a lot of people watching now, were brought up more like me where we didn't see that. And then when I actually started reading books, I'm like, wow, so this is because no one teaches you that. In school, you were lucky that you saw that growing up. You were taught that hands-on because at school, no one teaches those traits or those skills, So you were able to have, a dad who kind of modeled this stuff so that your brain was already working. And then the key is this: you said you were in your 20s when you bought your first condo.
Yeah,
right?
So I was in college. I remember I had a girlfriend and her brother was a couple years older than me. I was maybe 20. He was 24, good looking, had the little BMW with the hot chick and talking about Tuesday, I'm going to the beach and I'll probably make about $4,000 today. I was like, hold on a second. You're either dope dealing.
Yeah, exactly.
Or if you got a hustle that pays $4,000 in one day while you're at the beach,
let me in.
With this lifestyle, let me in. Because I was bartending at the time while going to college, talking about going to law school. So I was studying pre-law and thinking, I'm going to have to do 3
more. You were on the super college track of you would have been in undergrad, pre-law.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how basically my GPA was never meant to go to college because I definitely didn't take high school serious whatsoever. But my SAT scores were...
Where'd you go?
FIU, Florida International
University. So you were still close by?
Yeah, I was home. I was in Miami.
Yeah, you were coming home for dinners and...
Yeah, partying, taking college, not serious at all. And I said... Definitely. But since I was bartending on the weekends to make money, I was missing out on partying with my friends, which kind of sucked. Sure, I was making $150, $200 on a night, on a good night, maybe $220. And I had money in my pocket, a little bit more than some of my college friends. So I had the means to, do different things. But if my weekends were full of work and I'm 20 years old and I'm hearing epic party stories, I wanted to hurry up and get out of that. So he's living this life.
He's at the beach.
He's at the beach working. And talking about I made $4,000 today. So bottom line, it turned out that he was a mortgage broker and he was bragging about it and showing off and saying, this is what I do, which was cool. And I said, how can I be down? So he tells me, give me 6 to 8 months and I'm setting up my own shop here with a couple of my friends and then I'll bring you in the game. But he
told you basically you're hungry now, right?
Yeah. You just showed me a lot of gold.
This, and then you go, oh, hold on, you gotta wait 8 months.
Not gonna happen.
No way.
I went to the classifieds in the Miami Herald newspaper back then. There was no internet. Yeah. Go to the classifieds and look, and I saw right there in the middle a little square that said mortgage company, no experience necessary. Walked in, called. They say, yeah, come this Saturday. We're gonna have.
What year is this right now?
Just so 2000. I graduated in 1999 from high school. This is 2001, early 2002. maybe.
You're still going to FIU? Going to
FIU. I'm like a
working
sophomore.
bartending. Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm a sophomore. Just finished my freshman year. Walked into this mortgage shop in Hialeah, little small mortgage shop. Lady was a hustler too, man. She's an older lady. She had like a developer account, was kicking out mortgages like crazy for this developer. And she had a little right-hand lady who was helping her and a young processor who now actually is on my team. Wow. She's the one who taught me the basics.
The processor who taught you the basics now is working here with you, right?
Is my right-hand person here, yeah. It came full circle. She was an underwriter for Bank of America for 10 years and driving a Boca 45 minutes every single day, hating life, traffic back and forth, and hour and a half to get back. And I was able to stay in touch with her all these years and trying to get her to come over here for years. And finally this year brought her over here, and she's a big part of what we do, thankfully.
So you go to that, you follow the classified ad, you go there, right? You ask for the job, no experience needed, so they didn't tell you to wait 8-9 months.
Remember, I still live with my parents at the time, so they're talking about interest rates and good faith estimate and 1003 application and a homeowner's insurance. I don't know what any of that is, man. But I'm like, all right, cool. It was like a little 3-hour orientation. They're like, okay, you ready? You're hired if you want to start. I'm like, I have no idea what you guys just said for 3 hours, but
if you can make me the money that my girlfriend's brother's making, then we're good.
I'm in. Straight up.
Show me the money.
For real. So the very first thing I did, man, was I talked to my old man. I told him what the situation was. He's like, all right, cool. It's awesome. You know, now you got to let everybody know what you do, which is the same thing that the ladies had told me in the orientation. So I basically,
so people know. So they told you, of course, you got this new job, right? You're gonna be a mortgage.
Yeah, I'm now a mortgage loan officer with a 3-hour orientation. Like, okay, go out and hit it.
You don't even know. You still don't even know what you're doing yet.
Bro, I have no idea.
But here's the key: go tell everybody what you're doing. Right?
That's exactly
right. That's what you say there. If you're looking to buy houses, if you're an investor, tell everyone you meet you're an investor, right? If you don't tell them, they don't know.
Yeah. 100%.
All right, so let's hear more about that. You start telling people what you're doing.
So what I did was I called everybody I know, all my friends that were still young. They weren't buying houses or anything. So it's like, what's your parents' names and give me your address. Called all my family members, you know, my dad's clients. Give me that list too. And I put a list together of like, I don't know, 113, 120 something people. And I sent them all an intro letter like, hey, in the mortgage business, you know me this way, you know, through my dad or through my friends or whatever it was or family. And anything you need, give me a call. And out of that, I picked up 2 leads.
Wow.
And
that's definitely a money in the bank, man. Again, look, he just sent out a letter to everyone who he knew. He doesn't even know what he's doing yet. Basically just telling them, I'm in the mortgage business, you know, this is what I do. And people that he knew responded back, and he got 2 leads, right?
2 leads that were telling me, okay, yeah, that we want to refinance, and we're hoping to get like a 6% rate or something like that. At the time, rates were like between 7 and 9%.
Yeah.
So they're telling me they want 6%, and I'm like, yeah, no problem. I got you.
Making miracles happen.
I'm filling out an application for the first time, not knowing. I'm like, it says name here, so I guess name. Yeah, that's what I need. Address, I guess it means their address. I don't know. Yeah, address. Okay, I'm completely winging this thing. I have a checklist of docs I need to pick up, and I just show up to the office, and I'm like, here you go, 2 files. Is this what? Now what? Mm-hmm. So the processor and them, they kind of like looked at it, and they looked at one and said, this one is no deal. There's no deal here. Like, there's not a deal. And then this other one, we can do it, but it's going to be more like 7.5 or 7.5% rate. So definitely not a 6. It's not possible. So now you have to go back, call them, and tell them, I know I told you I could give you a 6 because, of course, I was promising the world without knowing what the heck I was doing. Over promising and under delivering.
That they didn't tell you not to do it.
And long story short, they were still cool with it because it was realistic to what the market is, and it still made sense for what they needed. And that was my first deal.
That was your first deal. So your first deal was a friend, family member, somebody that you knew?
There were a client of my dad's.
Okay.
Yeah, they were one of the ones that responded, and the
How much
first
money did you make in that
$1,800. So I probably took about 15 shifts to make $1,800.
Mm-hmm.
And in this, I had a meeting. I sent out a letter. Maybe it took me 2 hours to compile the list and send out the letter. Maybe another hour of calling people and getting addresses that I didn't already have, from the resources I was getting it. And then maybe another 2 hours at the office sitting with the processor semi-training me on what I needed to say and do. So for 5 hours, $1,800, I started doing the math.
Started weighing it.
I was like, I'm in this game.
Your dad's CPA voice was in your head again.
I'm in this game. That's it. At that point, I was a 100% real estate professional.
Got it. So now you're actually you're in the game. You're a mortgage loan officer, working for this little small shop in Hialeah.
Yeah, I did maybe like 5 or 6 deals in a year of being
So what
there.
happened with the girlfriend's brother? He ever come back?
He eventually opened up his shop, and I learned the basics there. The girl who works for me now taught me now kind of what to do, like the basics and the foundation. So I knew a little bit more after a year. I ended up getting 5 or 6 deals under my belt and made, I don't know, 15, 20,000, which at 20 years old,
So this is it.
I live with my parents. I just got to pay my car and my little Nokia phone that I had
Flip
just
phone?
bought that you could play Snake on. And that was good enough for me. Plus, I had freedom.
Yeah.
Because 5 or 6 deals maybe took me a total of, I don't know, like call it 10 hours max on each deal.
You're now, you got a job where you're flexible. You want to go to the beach, you can go. You can party when you want to party.
Yeah.
I mean, you're no more doing what you're doing before.
Yeah.
I'm working every weekend.
But I do know the potential of making serious money. And these guys finally opened up their own shop. He tells me, jump over. I jump over.
So real quick, are you still going to school?
At this time, I'm still going to school. Right now, I'm getting into my junior year.
Got it, okay.
And they set up a boiler room operation. So there is just 4 young dudes, all in their 20s, driving fancy cars, partying, popping bottles, pretty girls. Like
Boiler room.
mini boiler room, Wolf of Wall Street type of vibe, And they bring in a couple of other more young guys like us, friends of theirs that wanted to get in the game and this. So I'm his guy, right? And they had a setup where the turn downs from either Wells Fargo's or Ameriquest, which used to be like the Quicken loans of back in the day where they were a call center doing these. So whatever they couldn't do, those turn downs, they would send them to these guys who were brokers and had more options. And then we would then call back these people and say, hey, I know you were looking for a loan. We can help you. Plus, they had already got rejected in either Wells Fargo or Countrywide or Ameriquest.
So you're saying some names, Countrywide, Ameriquest.
Yeah. So we're giving them a hope.
Yeah, because so basically, I mean, there is a difference. You might want to explain between a mortgage broker, right?
Right. And someone who's working direct with a lender.
Direct for a lender.
Yeah. Direct lender is whatever their guidelines are. So if you go to Wells Fargo or Chase, whether you're an investor or you're trying to buy a house to live in, if you don't fit their box, they're done.
You're done.
Someone like me who on the traditional side, I broker the deals.
You shop it around.
Yeah, I shop it around. I'll go to Quicken. I'll go to, whoever's got the best deal in house. And I got a lot of options that if you don't fit this box, you could fit the other box. And then on the private lending side, we lend our own money. So I have to create my own box.
Definitely. No, but that's key though. I mean, there's different options as far as, when you're looking to get financing, don't just stop because the first place says we can't do it, know? I mean, I know for a fact Kevin makes deals close that people say they can't do all the time.
I've made a living off of that.
I sit here and watch that. So now you're like what? You're working for the little boiler room. This is like what?
Now I'm learning how to sell.
So now they're teaching you how to sell.
Yeah, because the first year I learned the basics of financing, which now to this day, even in the investing game, since I know what it takes to get approved in the mortgage side of things and be able to get money to buy a house, it helps so much to be able to determine the whole process of a deal and if it's going to get sold and what kind of way is the best way. But I still need to learn how to sell, right? Well, this boiler room taught me how to sell and how to do it on the phone.
Got it.
which that right
now you guys are doing bulk. You're picking the phone up.
We're just picking the phone and calling people, never even looking at them.
Exactly.
FedExing packages, they're signing over the phone, FedExing it back, and FedExing it or faxing it to the banks and closing deals and making stupid money.
And what's the market climate right now? Like, give us a little insight. Is it? I mean, we're when just, you're into this, it's like what? It's like 03, 04 now. Or?
Yeah, exactly. And now we're just starting to creep into the beginning stages of when the market started to get crazy. Hot.
Yeah.
So it's not going crazy yet, but we're starting to, and they're being around hustlers and young dudes making moves and fancy cars and popping bottles and buying properties. I pushed myself to level up, and I said, all right, time to make more money. Mm-hmm. That's when I decided, now I got a little money in the bank, let me buy my first property. And I found a great deal, condo, completely. I bought it from a dude that did custom motorcycles. So when I walked into the place to check it out, cool little dude, funky earrings, like motorcycle, like artist type dude. Mm-hmm. Was super nice. I was like, yeah, bro, I'm going to move, like, I don't know where, up North Florida to do the custom bike thing. And his condo was dope, like funky, artsy.
He had a laid out custom.
Yeah, man, like total bachelor pad.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'd love to live here. So at first I said, maybe I'll live here. And it was at a great price. And I bought it. It was like, I don't know, $48,000 or something like that.
This is where?
Over by the North Miami Aventura area. Great area. Yeah, right by Aventura. Right by like the bay, bay out there. So it wasn't on the waterfront, but it was like right by there.
Good area, definitely.
Yeah, and I was like, man, this is a perfect bachelor pad. I got money in I'm gonna pick up, pick up chicks, because at that point I was starting to go off and on with my girlfriend at the time.
Making some money now.
Getting a little cocky. My relationship got rocky.
Cocky to rocky.
Cocky and rocky. That's the other side of Shut Up and Invest. We'll do an episode at some time.
That's the single side.
The single show. We did the married show the other day when we got to do the single show.
There's no cocky. I mean, there's rocky, but there's no cocky in my story.
So long story short, that was my first investment deal in the boiler room, learning, closing deals, and starting to spend some money.
So the guys you're with, I mean, these guys are obviously, you said starting to heat up.
Yeah.
And they're making phone calls, closing deals, they're buying homes, they're buying cars, you're seeing this, you're getting the bug.
Yeah.
You go out there and you buy this as an investment property to have as a rental, as a flip.
I first thought, let me live in it and live La Vida Loca in it.
Got it.
But then quickly said, hold on, this is where the subconscious programming from being as a kid and really the influences of, like you said, my family, had a conversation with my dad and said, well, what if I just rent it? Mm-hmm. Because I can make some major cash flow. Because it's so nice.
Yeah, because like you're in the mortgage company, but still, a lot of guys, especially young guys in the mortgage company doing loans, aren't thinking about the investment side yet. So, are you actually studying investing at the same time, reading any books, or you're just seeing what other guys are doing?
Because I was doing the loans and I knew what the mortgage was, and I basically knew what I could rent it for. I basically knew that I could get $500 a month if I rent this.
Got it.
And since I had my growing up,
yeah, you had already seen that. It was just natural.
So I wasn't reading any books, but just because I just knew what mortgage payments and the breakdown of mortgage payments were, and pre-approving people for it, and knew that I could get
the importance of investing from seeing it your whole life growing up.
And I knew I could get the best possible deal on the mortgage to be able to create $500 worth of cash flow by renting it at like $950 a month, and my mortgage payment was like $400. I was like, I could live in it and pay $450 and spend a bunch of money partying and bringing people over and whatever, or I could chill a little bit for a year, make $500 on it, and keep stacking money and see what else is out there.
Got it. So you buy that one, your first one.
Yeah.
All right. The market's picking up more.
Now the market's starting to pick up. Condo conversions are hot in the area.
This is like 04, right?
Yeah, 04, 05. And then...
I actually came down here July of 04.
Oh, yeah?
That's when I moved to South Beach. So I was down here seeing all this going on. And then, again, my dad was doing condo conversions in D.C. He was a mortgage loan officer, because this is during the time where everyone was becoming a loan officer.
Yeah.
So I guarantee you it was a crazy time.
By the time I hit 24, which was around that area, that time, these guys were getting a little too aggressive and, towing the line of the block might be hot up in here, So I said, because again, I had seen the IRS knock on the doors of the clients of my dad and do audits and, the random, hey, you're getting audited this year. Once or twice a year, I saw my dad have to work with the IRS auditors. I knew that no check is ever worth having to one day sit in front of someone who's investigating and have to explain myself, because I saw so many of my parents' clients have to sit with the auditors and explain, their expenses. So luckily, my dad always ran a tight ship and none of his clients ever went into hot water, but I saw the audits go down. So especially in Miami, Cocaine Cowboys. You were already
scared straight from growing up seeing
I knew sooner or later you will get questioned.
And I mean, let's be honest, this is Miami.
Exactly.
and I mean,
Cocaine Cowboy.
There's a lot of stuff going on in Miami, especially in the housing market where, it can be questioned. It can be questioned. So, me, I've probably been there in the boiler room like, yeah, let's go. Let's go. No idea. But you, because you had actually seen these things from a kid, you had some advanced knowledge about, hey, this might not be right because
it just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to gamble. And I said, you know what? Then I jumped over to a traditional lender. Much bigger operation. They were closing like 60, 70 deals a month. And I got that knowledge there. And a year after that, I was like, you know what? Let me open up my own shop.
Got it. So I'm trying to get to that point. So then, this is like what, 05?
Yeah, I was 24 years old. I mean, I'm 38 now.
So you're 24, you got what, about
24,
3
25
years of experience? 3-4 years of experience?
3-4 years of experience under my belt.
Let me
now.
go do my own thing.
Let me do my own thing.
I've absorbed it. I've watched it. I know what I'm doing.
And I had found this commercial space here for like $135,000. My dad was renting an office in Hialeah, paying like $1,200 a month. Mm-hmm. So I was like, Pops, I'm looking for a space to open up my own shop. You're already paying for a spot. Let's go find one of those office warehouse locations that are big enough, and why don't we tag team? Mm-hmm. So being in real estate, at the time, my girlfriend, it was rocky and cocky, but we were still good. And I brought her in the game.
I'm getting a shirt for you that says that.
That's my money life and rocky and cocky. She became a real estate agent. Obviously, it made sense because if I was doing the loans,
you guys was building the power cut. You be a real estate agent. I'm gonna do the loans.
Yeah.
Gonna take over Miami.
Shout out to her, man. Shout out to her. I think she just recently got married. The last time I heard her. Shout out to her because she was a good chick. I was too young and making a little bit too much money young, but we did cool things together.
Yeah. She was building you up. I mean, she was
and we did deals together. Like, we found this together. She found it. I did the numbers on it. I came and I pitched my dad. We talked about cash flow. I said, listen, you're paying $1,200. I might end up having to pay like anywhere between $700 to $1,000 for an office, or we can buy this, own it, and pay ourselves, essentially buy it for ourselves, and it's not even going to come out.
So you're 24 years old and you're buying this commercial building I rent right now.
Yeah,
that right now is free and clear, right?
Yeah, we ended up paying it out free and clear 7, 8 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm sure your dad's probably like, Daniel's son.
Yeah, I was like, it makes sense. All right, cool. We basically ended up paying the same thing he was paying over there. So then I'm jumping in and paying. So he brought his rent down. It just made sense. But we had to do the initial investment, which, still made sense. And now this is like worth 3-4 times what we initially bought it for. And I've been here ever since. And we got a studio in here now and everything.
We got a studio. I mean, we were able to use that thing that he bought at 24 and turn it into Shut Up and Invest podcast studio. So.
And funny enough, even then, yes, I'm in real estate. And yes, now looking back, these are investments, but I wasn't looking at it how I look at things now. Mm-hmm. Like very strategic monopoly investing game. No, I was like, opportunity. I'm in the real estate game. I know how to get this deal done. Let's do it. It makes sense.
Yeah, you were making deals get done, and then the timing was good, That's another good thing.
Yeah.
If you bought anything back then that you still have now,
Yeah.
it was good timing.
Yeah.
You
Which
know.
at the name of the game in real estate, that's
It's all about timing.
And it'll always come up.
Yeah.
Just hold on to it long enough, and you're never gonna lose.
You definitely rolled a downturn because we're talking about BC again. BC means before crash.
Before the crash. Yeah.
We're talking about
during the
BC.
crash, I wouldn't be able to sell this whatsoever.
Not at all.
Whatsoever. But it didn't matter because we weren't planning.
We weren't planning on something.
We weren't trying to flip this.
That's what a lot of people are like. Oh, what about the market? Well, it depends what you're buying for. Like, you know, if you're buying stuff now that you're going to hold, that you know you're going to hold, you're buying for cash flow, right? I don't really care about, at that moment, the appreciation, you know? Does the cash flow make sense? Yeah. So if the market goes down, the cash flow probably still makes sense.
Right.
You know, so this is the beginning of, so what was the name of your company?
The first one, I signed up kind of like with a franchise model. So I was the branch manager for a year, and it was Transcontinental Lending Group.
Got it.
And then we
so you
lasted
had an office underneath their
branch, right? So we were one of their branches in here, and then a year after that, we went independent to Real Loan Partners, and then the market crashed on us.
Got it. Okay, so you're with the one franchise. You go independent. You're still doing. I mean, you're obviously your first 2 years. You're doing some big numbers.
Decent enough for being in my mid-20s, making 6 digits, and rolling into a club and spending $3,500 on a Friday night, popping bottles for 30, 40 people.
Opium mansion, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I probably brought you there.
Telling people or convincing myself that it was networking and marketing, right?
Yeah.
And I'm flipping the bill, looking like the big dog. Now I look back, I'm like, what the heck was I thinking?
So you were in that phase. You were in the party phase. Because, I mean, dude, you're 24. You got your own company.
Yeah, now I'm like 26.
Yeah, still, 26 years old. I mean, and you're in Miami, so
yeah.
I had the lights
I had the boat. Right. I went and bought myself a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house in the same neighborhood I grew up, the block over. Bro, I'm a single dude. I don't have a family. What am I doing with a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house? Like, just to park the boat there. I bought myself a motorcycle, which I barely ever rode, just to go to like the gym. Like, at that point, I was in the zone of collecting toys and basically giving the finger to every teacher and everybody who said I had to go to college. I obviously, my junior year, once I started really making money, I obviously decided to take a year off and never went back. So I got 90 credits in FIU.
We were both college dropouts right here.
College dropout for sure. I got 90 credits. Or maybe one day I'll go get the other 30. And get
so you're doing all this, right? But now looking back in hindsight, there's a storm brewing going on in the whole financial market as a whole.
Yeah.
Right?
Brother, I walked into this office. At the time, I had my office set right back up there. And at 9:30 in the morning, I got the first email from the bank saying, please don't send us any more deals. By lunchtime, I had 13 emails from banks all across the nation saying, we are no longer receiving any more deals. But my deals that we had in the pipe, I had maybe like $20-something thousand worth of commissions in deals waiting for me. I had clients that were planning to close that week that were in, setting up their moving truck and about to hand their keys over.
Remember, no one, I mean, you didn't know this was coming down the pipe. No one knew. I was a realtor at the time, selling homes. Like, when it happened, I remember that day, like, I went inside the stock market, was down like 500 some points, which you see that nowadays, but back then that was like never seen before, So like it just hits you out of nowhere. So people's lives were changed.
It literally was a one morning. Like as how you see it in the movies, from the time I walked in to lunchtime, it completely changed the game. But funny enough, I was like, you know what? I've been doing this since I was 20 years old essentially. And now at the time I'm like 27. All I knew was servicing and dealing with clients and trying to make them happy and
Customer
this and that.
service.
Yeah, I was making money. Yeah, I had at that time 5 investment properties. Now, being a landlord, I had employees. I don't know. I had like $13,000-$14,000 worth of overhead that I was responsible for at that age. But I kind of wanted to breathe, bro. I was never going to quit and throw my towel in, especially when things were going good.
Yeah.
So the market crashed when that was happening. I remember I looked at my partner who was 10 years older than me. I was telling him, this is going to be for a while. This is not going to be in a couple of weeks. The banks are going to figure it out. Because so many people were like, bro, what do you mean? The banks are going to end up, give this a couple of weeks and this will iron out. I was like, this is going to be for a long time, bro. We were literally giving out 100% financing loans for people that were breathing. Like, you have a 600 credit score, no problem. I can give you all the money for that $350,000 house, even though you are a teacher that makes $37,000 a year and should not have any business buying that $350,000 house. But go ahead, you can get that loan, not for basically closing costs, which there was so much competition that sellers wanted you to buy their house. So they were saying, look, I'll pay your closing costs. Yeah. So 100% loan from the bank. The seller wants to pay your closing costs. So you were a teacher buying a house with like $5,000 because you were paying the difference of whatever was left.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, you were getting the house for basically anyway. There were so many ways to get you in a house for zero.
You were peanuts. So now you're in a house paying like an interest-only loan because that was one of the options on 100% financing.
100% financing. Oh, and then
like pay the minimum payment and don't worry about paying taxes and insurances. And they were doing it because for so many years, people were then living it for 6 to 8 months to a year, then turn around and sell it for $100,000 more. Exactly. So they were thinking, I could afford this at the minimum payment like a credit card, and then a year later, sell it and make 30, 40, 50, 100,000 profit, and then I'll go into something that I can afford.
Happening. I mean, that was happening every single day.
But like the game of hot potato, eventually you got it. And it went around for years, 3, 4 years, and then I get it. You see your cousin who's always been the screw up, but he was jumped in at the right time and bought a deal and then maybe 2 deals, and next thing you know, he's got $150,000 in the bank and driving a fancy car, and you're like, wait a minute, if this guy can do this, let me get in. And sure, it started working for years and years for a lot of people until the music stopped. And then who was holding the bag? And that's when the crash happened, man. And that changed the game. And I took 2 years off. I moved to LA.
So it happened, right? So how long did it take you to get, like, it happened and that day you knew it was going to be going for a long time, right? But you have these loans in the portal. You have to make these phone calls. You're letting people know they can't buy their home. What was the time frame of when you're like, man, I'm just going to take a break?
So it took me a year to, right away I told our team, like, listen, this is for the long run. I'm getting out because I need a break because I've been doing this since 20 years old. So I'm going to figure my life out, kind of go on.
So basically you were shutting it down.
I was shutting it down. I was not freaking out. Even though I had all this overhead and all this, I was like, man, I'm young enough.
Yeah.
Plus, from my experience, I had seen so many people that had previously been either on bankruptcy or had bad credit and then repaired it up to 700. I knew how credit worked.
Yeah, you financed.
I wasn't scared that if things were going to... Because remember, when the crash happened, that's my livelihood. I didn't know where my next dollar was going to come from. So till I figured it out, I'm not stressing. And worst case scenario, if my credit goes down the drain because I can't figure out how to pay for all these properties and everything that's going on, I'll be able to recover at some point because I know what to do.
Yeah. You have the knowledge.
I wasn't scared.
Yeah, you know how to bounce back. You know the steps to take. So
I know, let me cut my losses right now. Let me not wait because so many people I know tried to hold on and they drained their savings. I did the opposite. I said, I'm cutting and I'm going to stack what I have right now until I figure it out. And even if my credit goes down the drain, at least I'm not going to spend my resources right now trying to survive and figure it out because this is not going to be a few week thing. Gotcha. This is going to be something that's going to take time to figure out. But you had that clarity.
I mean, that's the thing, though. You were able to not freak out, not get emotional.
And know how the systems work.
And know how the system
I know
works.
how credit works.
Yeah.
I know how banking works. So I'm like, listen, worst case scenario, my credit goes down the drain, but I got cash on my side.
Exactly.
I'll be able to survive until I figure out how to recover. Then I'll know how to repair my credit and get back in the game, which is exactly what I did.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, you obviously did that, you know.
I basically took 2 years off.
Went to LA.
Went to LA. Took a year to kind of sell everything here. My brother was out there, so I went out there. Another girlfriend now, you know, fast this era. She was an actress here, doing really well for, you know, big fish in a small pond. So she wanted to go out there and see what she can do in Hollywood. Which shout out to her. She's now a full-time actress for years.
Jeez,
hey. Yeah. I've been blessed with good women in my life who've gone and done real cool things, and I've had good people in my life, and we've done cool things together. And
I mean, that's the key. You got every time we come on here, we talk about people. You know, like if you notice, it's about people. You know, we've had amazing people every step of the way.
Yeah, good vibes and good energy, and feeding your mind and brain with good, you know, like let's make moves. Like you and your wife. You guys had that dynamic. I just happen to have it with a few different people, but I went out there.
People. So you're out in LA now
with her.
Are you just chilling? I mean, when I went to Hawaii, my wife took me to Hawaii when our stuff was doing the same thing. Which actually, it's funny too, like to look at it, because me from my side as a realtor working with investors, when the market crashed, like when it first hit, it was like, oh my goodness, this is the greatest time ever, right? Because I worked with foreclosures and they were just unlimited, you know. Right. So the beginning of that, I was enjoying it. It wasn't until that second wave. People understand there was a second wave.
Correct.
Like in 2011.
Yeah.
When banks were like, we're not doing nothing, right?
Yeah.
Because when the crash hit like 2007, people still had, you know, lines of credit. They still had loans, investors that they could still use. Then those started getting called.
Yeah. And
then the bank said, no, we're not lending nothing.
Yeah,
no one gets any money. Like everything's frozen. And that's when it was like a desert land, wasteland. Yeah. And I went to Hawaii, and I just was able to go out to Hawaii and just chill. So like when you went to LA, what was?
Same thing, man. I picked up meditation. I became a vegetarian, yoga.
You were just out there.
I was partying here so much, and I always had people around me over there. I lived very just with my girlfriend at the time. I saw my brother once a week because he was over there. And I was like hiking in mountains and plugged into nature and organic.
And it's amazing what that does.
Bro, it was a big detox. People think LA's crazy, but for me, Miami's crazy and LA was rehab.
Yeah.
And long story short, there I got super interested. I had already started getting interested in digital marketing for the mortgage company before it crashed. So I was already learning a lot of the digital marketing side of things. Internet was starting to get power in the game, and there was MySpace and AOL, and it was really starting to, you know, start growing. And then because I was analyzing what was happening with the crash, that when my properties were for sale, the guys that were buying them up in the short sales were picking up properties that I bought for $150,000. They were buying them from me at $26,000 on a short sale. I knew I was on the wrong side of the fence. And I said, wait a minute, I was a lender. I was a mortgage broker. I'm a real estate. I was an experienced guy. And these guys are buying my properties for $26,000.
Yeah.
I'm not the guy who knew. They're the ones who knew. And that stayed with me the whole time I left to LA. And I basically stayed out there for 2 years trying to figure out that puzzle. And that's when I went into the study game and was like, I should have been on that side of the fence, and why wasn't I? And that's when I started learning about market cycles and about short sales and about flipping and foreclosures and investing and private money, and learning and then implemented to do my first flip after 2 years. So for 2 years, I really didn't make money, bro.
And so this is what years? Like what years? You went to LA what year?
I mean, I know it through my age is more than the years. So, if I'm 38 now, I pretty much left around 28, so 10 years ago. So we're talking about 2009.
It's like 11.
Yeah, to 11, exactly.
And then you're able to relax, to rest, you know, which we go so hard. Sometimes it is good to just rest. It's good to plan vacation. It's good to just like unplug. You know,
and
refresh
reflect.
Your mind, reflect, you know.
Reflect, study, try to become aware, try to become conscious. That's what happened. I became conscious that I thought I knew the game, and now they're buying the properties off of me, at a fraction of what I paid for. And basically what I realize is the real players making money are buying when everybody's selling, and when everybody is selling, they're buying.
What's Warren Buffett say? When there's blood in the streets, buy, right? And so I learned the same thing. I learned the same thing by being there and experiencing it. I was like you too. I was young and didn't really know, but I was in it, and I'm realizing like, man, these guys that like really, really, really have wealth, who you don't even know they have wealth. They don't look like they have wealth.
Yep.
You know, they're just average guys. They might drive a minivan, you know, but they're buying everything right now.
But I got caught up in trying to be popping bottles in the car and the boat and look, I make money in real estate. And even though I did buy cash flow properties, and look, at the end of the day, I'm not hard on myself because what happened nationwide, and it was the greatest economic, crash since the Great Depression. So it's not that I'm sitting here telling myself the boohoo story.
No.
It's just that I said, whoa, wake up call.
Yeah, but like the thing is, what you thought you were doing, you thought you had made it.
I knew.
You thought you knew.
I thought I was one of the in the nose.
But then you saw like, man, I'm a broker, so I'm doing these deals, but there's a whole other layer of knowledge and of moves that I had no clue about, you know? And then those are the market makers.
That was the beginning of the idea in my head of there's a smarter money life way.
Okay, so that's where
smart money life
came out of.
Thought was there's a whole nother, the popping bottles and spending money and consuming and collecting toys and living this life where you make 10 grand but you spend 9 grand is not the right way. I should have been strategic and really think about what matters, and really now look at the same thing, the knowledge that I still had, like debt to income and budgeting, and why does the bank require you to not spend more than 50% of your income, and what really is mitigating risk and return on investment. And now I started really breaking down the things that I was so used to implementing, just not really thinking about why.
Got it. So what prompts you to be like, man, I'm going back to Miami?
My brother, he got diagnosed with MS. Okay. My relationship around the same time came to an end. So I'm out in LA on a high on this getting to know myself, like, kumbaya, meditating, like ninja out there, vegetarian. I'm on the best possible trip. Even my relationship didn't work out. I was still good. Like, I was on the up and up, really getting to know myself and really plugging in and learning the digital marketing thing with the investing thing, and now starting to work on my first investment deal here. So I was implementing what I was starting to figure out
Miami
to flip.
Okay.
Right, with my family, and that's when I decided to come back.
So you came back ready to just start the mortgage company all over again, or you were
I'm never gonna do the mortgage company again. That's what I said.
You were done with that.
Yeah, I wanted to be an investor, and I was going to, I had all the connects with the mortgage thing, so I'll refer the deal and whatever. But I don't ever want to create this again. But as the market, so I started my plan was to start investing and be free and travel and do a deal, make good money and
do what you want to do
and experience life. Like keep if the LA thing changed me, what will China do for me, or Australia, or my mind was there. But when I came back and I stayed here for a little while to plug in with my family, and the market the economy had crashed, so even my family's business had taken a hit because obviously corporate clients had closed and whatnot.
The ripple effect.
Yeah, everybody took a hit. Every industry took a hit. So I stuck around for, a year and a half, and then my whole roots are here. My network is here. My database is here. So opportunities started popping up, and then the market slowly started recovering. So people started ringing my phone again because now it's 4 or 5 years down the road, and hey, now can I buy again? And one deal turned into 2 deals, and 2 deals turned into 5 deals, and then next thing you know, I was like, dude, the demand is asking me to do mortgages again, but I still don't want to start a company and a team. But to fast forward and make that long story short, instead of scaling up the investing side and going full-fledged there, I had so much demand because now the market was recovering to do the mortgage side of things, and the teams that I was trying to count on to do the fulfillment side, while I bring in the business, I structure it and just get it closed, weren't doing what they needed to do. And then what's
do it
the
yourself if you can,
if they can't get it right, do it yourself. Basically. Yep. So I made all my own calls.
They brought you back.
They brought me back in, and I ended up, kicking butt and having to bring my team back together, and then taking it over, and
now you're full fledged in it.
Now we're opened up the company all over again, and then but always with the intention of the whole time, I'm not gonna get stuck in this I did before. I'm gonna stay in the investing game. So
yeah, because you definitely do have the whole traditional private all that stuff, but you're an investor.
Yeah,
you're actively investing in deals.
And through the years, I was always doing deals, and I was doing a handful of deals personally, and then still brokering the hard money deals at the time. And then just always let me build the team to where it could get systematic. But then the market kept growing, we kept getting busier, so I needed a bigger team. And but of course, it's still good money in the mortgage business, and use that to then eventually fuel finally opening up the private investing side of it and the private loan side of it. So now we became our own private lender instead of brokering things out. So we started lending our own money, finding opportunities for ourselves and using our own private money for our own investment deals. And then, and now, thank God, the operation is pretty much running smoothly, and I got good team members. So we've been trying to scale up the private lending side and the acquisition side on the investments, and do special unique deals where we pretty much find the deal, got the private money set up, and have the end buyer who wants to end up buying the deal, and we try to do that's as much of a roundabout
that you can,
full circle on the deal as we can. I've taught all my realtors, agents, the investing side of it so that they don't make the same mistake I did. I've taught my clients not to make the same mistake. And that's kind of where the Smart Money Life philosophy, because everybody asks me, what's that hashtag that you have on your social media all the time and the t-shirts you wear? And it's it's the reminder to make sure that this time around,
you do it right.
We're doing it right. So my clients understand, let's get into the game. We're going to bring them on the show. I just talked to him the other day, but I got one of my clients that was an entrepreneur, was doing great in business. He had his business there in California. And now I brought him in the game, talked about Smart Money Life, and now he's working right now on his third Airbnb investment property. Each one of the units are the dude's making a killing per month on the Airbnb, and that's the satisfaction. The money's not the satisfaction.
It's helping
my own
people.
Deals are not even as satisfying.
It's helping other people do it.
It's seen. I got so many realtors, clients now getting in the game, investing, executing the plans. We're finding these great deals from. We're getting them the money, and they're having success as well. So bro.
And I think, I agree with you, because the thing with us, who actually went through that whole recession and then were awakened and saw how money in the world really works, it's you feel you got to tell everybody about it. I know I'm always telling people, man, listen, you got to do this, you got to do this. When the market goes down again, be ready. I'm always saying, but be prepared. Yes, invest now, but be prepared, because when it goes down again and they all run away, that's when you buy and you buy and you buy and you hold, and then you create generational wealth forever, because I'm anxious, because we went through that whole thing, and we know how much money we could have made if we were prepared knowledgeably.
Yeah, if I knew what I knew now then.
Exactly.
I would have been buying up the block.
I see houses now, oh man, that house sold for $190, and I bought the house for $15,000.
Yeah.
I had owned the house for $15,000. So I definitely realized when you say Smart Money Life is something that you feel that's what brings you joy. You feel you have to tell other people, look, you're a realtor. And I remember my broker, first thing he said, you're a realtor. If you're going to do good, you make a lot of money, right? In spurts. and make sure you save, you keep. You don't just spend that money. You don't go out and buy a new car and a boat. The same exact thing that you were talking about. You know, he told me that.
And now, bro, I'm still, you know, I don't have a family. I'm not married or whatnot. But instead of the 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house and the boat, this time around, like my 30s have been so much different than my 20s. And this time around, I've put my money back into the business. I've lent out my money. I don't need the things out there, you know. I mean, you know, there's nothing wrong with nice things. I drive a little nice car. No big deal. But my priorities are different.
You got assets too that are.
It's definitely about investing. It's definitely about building a legacy. It's definitely about helping people come along the way and make a difference for generations to come. And now, to the forefront, I think about bringing it all the way back. My dad started this at 44, and to where he built the first company for the family that set the foundation for us to be able to do what we're doing, me and my brother. I'm 38. So when I look back and I'm like, man, he started it at 44 and he didn't even know the language. Like, I'm ahead of the game. And I haven't scratched the surface. Like, I'm on a mission.
That by 6 years from 44.
When I'm 44, bro, like, I'm here to retire people.
And that's key that you said that too, because I remember, I mean, we all do. We look back like, man, you know, we wasted so much time, but we really didn't, you know, because, like, again, your dad was 44 and built up what he can build up to where you have what you have, your brothers have what they have, you know. So, like, it's never too late.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we keep saying. No matter what stage of life you're in, just shut up and start investing, you know. Listen to the Smart Money Life. Subscribe to the Smart Money Life. You know, reach out. It's never too late, you know.
Yeah, and trust me, I was not handed a bag of cash. Like, everything is from scratch. So what I was handed was what we're talking about on this podcast, and what I talk about in my one-on-ones with my network of people. What I was handed was experience, knowledge, and information. Definitely. And that's why I'm sitting here today, bro.
Well, congrats, man. I think you definitely bounced back. And
I'm excited about this, too.
You know, I'm excited about us sharing our stories and sharing the platform. And again, we both come from the same spot where we just want other people to, you know, to live smart. Because it's just knowledge. When you get the knowledge and you apply the knowledge, anyone can do this.
Yeah, man. And realize that you don't really need half the things that you're spending money on, man. And you would actually live a lot more stress-free if you allocated your time, resources, and energy into smart money life decisions.
Get smart, people. Get smart. Shut up and invest.
Amen.
Another great episode with my co-host Kevin, man, with a good story. So once again, if you guys enjoyed that, share it, like it, comment, subscribe.
Leave them reviews.
Spread the word, leave the reviews. You know, just get the word out there, man. We're getting great feedback from the people who've been, you know, tuned in so far. So we want to, you know, have this reach out as far as it can go. You know, we just want to give back our knowledge. And I hope you guys go out there and invest.
Yeah, man. Anybody who's got questions, reach out, man. We're here for you guys.